I am not in a good mood today. I am not to be trifled with today. Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome back to another edition of the dceu Daily. So, Access Media will get to see Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut before me and you and all the fans who fought so passionately to help Zack get his vision shown to the world. It feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? The people framing mentally unstable people as toxic. People whose only crime is, and it's not a crime, that they're not used to social engagement and conversing with other people of different opinions and maybe are not mentally there to understand what's right and wrong, right? But I would say that 75% of our fandom is not toxic and are not bullies, and all they ever wanted to do was stand with a great visionary director who also lost his daughter and donate thousands upon thousands to suicide prevention. I know we're terrible people. So these people, us, who's donated money, these are people who cannot afford to send money, but do. These are the people who drive the cabs, work in the restaurants, work so hard for their families, but still they donate to suicide prevention and fight for Zack, taking on social media accounts when they wouldn't normally do so to be there for Zack and his wife Deb and his family, so we could get this movie out there, this superior movie to the theatrical cut Justice League. Well, I could make a superior cut to flipping Justice League, right? And I've never made a cinematic Hollywood feature before. So they get access and we don't. We'll see it weeks after. Now, there is a concern here as well that we will get leaks after this. So this is very concerning, that the enemies that we've been fighting for all these years, will have access to Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, and they may attempt to torpedo the hype engine, as I discussed yesterday with that fake rumour that the big cameo, the so-called divisive cameo, superhero cameo, was John Jones the Martian Manhunter, when they can't be talking about that because we already know he's in the film, right? Bullshit. But I don't know when they're going to be able to see this film. And so obviously they have to sign agreements, and if they kind of break these agreements, they can be sued. But there's ways and means around this. You can tell someone else to leak it. How can you prove who they're connected to, right? If you've got like 50 to 100 to 200 members of Access Media watching this film early, how can you police it? How can you control it? You cannot. So we just have to hope they don't spoil the film for people. But, you know, for me, this is actually, I'm frustrated. But I also think, as I said on Twitter yesterday, you can tag and follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad, that it is a bittersweet thing because I want to hear reactions. Now, here's the thing. This is why it's a mixed blessing that they've got access. Because if Zack didn't allow them access, then they would say that Zack has a bad movie to hide. You know that. So you can't win with these people. So Zack's going to be fair with these people. We saw his takedown of Mendelsohn just over a year ago. It was beautiful. Scott Mendelsohn blocked me a while back. I've never been abusive to him. I've never been toxic to him. I've laughed at some of his posts using laughing emojis. Now, if you can't take that, Scott, you really do have a problem. Bet he didn't block Zack, right? No. But these people live in a bubble, and everyone must agree with them and their takes. And so it's going to be interesting. One of the things, right, they're going to say, which isn't really a compliment, is this is so much better than the theatrical cut. No shit, Sherlock. I just said I could make a film better than the theatrical cut of Justice League. It's a rushed mess. And it's everybody's fault and nobody's fault. It's everybody's fault, right? It's the studio's fault. Whedon was put under immense pressure to put something out there, anything, with a few smiles and bright colours. So you can't just put this on Whedon's door, right? That's got to be fair. His conduct on the set is despicable. But again, I think most people, I mean, I wouldn't get Gal Gadot to lay on top of Ezra Miller, and some of the things we've heard from Ray Fisher are odd, but I think Ray Fisher can also be a very difficult customer. There was a tweet yesterday about genitalia and how people of colour don't like genitalia being too long. I don't know. I don't understand why that was a conversation coming from another woman who claims her and Jeff Johns had a conversation about what's black and what's not. Yeah, totally above me, right? So those kind of conversations kind of trigger me a bit of like, yeah, well, that's not exactly a smoking gun. What happened? What did you bring to him? Anyway, we're getting away from the subject here. Very, very odd discussions, right? Anyway, so they're going to have access. The people who denied the existence of the Snyder Cut, even though it was obvious that a version of the film, an unfinished version of the film, existed because we saw Zack Celebrate finish principal photography in London. So obviously there's a cut that he made, right? Because he finished principal photography. That was catalogued. I said that as we were all fighting for the Snyder Cut. Find the video somewhere on this channel. Don't expect everything to be neat and tidy and catalogued as one thing. I'm a bit of a mess, as you can see from my bedroom. But the very enemy that we've been fighting has access. Simple as that. So as I say, there's nothing we can do about this. This does not surprise me, by the way. It angers me, it winds me up, it frustrates me, but it hasn't come to any surprise. This is how it works. Some people saying hopefully Zack's got to choose who gets to see it and who doesn't. No, you can't. Look, I don't know Zack Snyder personally, but I know one thing about him. He doesn't want to stack the deck, and that's stacking the deck. You've got to allow people their opinions. They've got to be able to view this film and be honest about it, right? Now, we haven't seen the film yet. We've got to be fair here. We haven't seen the film. Now, we've got a pretty good idea that it's going to continue from BVS and it's going to be along the same lines. I'm looking forward to it. I expect to enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. I enjoy all Zack Snyder content. He's brilliant. By the time you see this video, because I'm recording it beforehand, obviously, but by the time you see this video, we would have seen Trailer 1 of Army of the Dead. Really looking forward to it, and we'll talk about that on the next edition of the dceu Daily, even though it's nothing to do with DC, but Zack's connected, so that's fair game, isn't it? And so, yeah, even though it's hard to take that these people who were really toxic themselves about Zack, let's be honest about it, I don't mind constructive media opinion about a director whose content and way of doing things they don't like. That's fine. That's what a free, democratic, global society does. Critical media have to be critical, whether it's positive or negative criticism, right? I accept that. But I believe saying about a film, this is like marking a film down because it's too dark. Well, is that a bad thing? Is that bad filmmaking? Of course not. Just because you believe that superhero movies and superhero live action should be bright and fun and inspirational, it doesn't mean it makes it a bad take. This is what you should be saying as a journalist. Look, I don't like dark superhero movies. I like the light. I like the fun. And I like to enthuse over these things. That's what I like. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about them. This is how they should frame it. But they take it in such a toxic direction, and this is the problem. If you're positively right, if you can criticize something and say you don't like it, but still be positive, right? I've seen so many journalists do it, right? I thanked one critic yesterday for being constructive with his criticism of Snyder, because she is. And there's quite a few of them that are constructive. Listen, he's not, they say things like, look, he's not my cup of tea. He doesn't make the films I would go for, but I understand why people like him. I just don't like what he does. And that's fine and constructive. And we've got to be careful here. If we see bad reviews, but they're constructively bad reviews, like being negative about the thing, you can't be toxic against these people that's, conducting themselves in the right way, because it just proves that in the end, after everything I've said, that in fact more of us are toxic, just as bad as them. And again, you've got to be careful here. In a lot of ways we're on parole here as fans, because some of us have crossed the line and conducted ourselves in the wrong way, and we've got to admit that, right? We can't be in denial about our own behaviour. Well, now we have, those of you who are not used to the internet and discourse are used to it now. You spent 3 or 4 years fighting for Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? Amongst journalists' denials of the thing even existing. Whatever negative review you see, you can be constructive. You can quote tweet and you can comment and say, listen, I love Zack, I don't agree with you, I'd like a conversation with you, that's great. But to start going over the top against people who don't like Zack's stuff or Zack's films, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think that's wrong. And there's ways of conversing with people and agreeing to disagree and just having a little, even if it's a little bit heated, but not swearing and death threats. There's no need for that. That you should never be getting into someone's DMs threatening their life or being abusive. That's just my opinion, right? I wouldn't take it off of you, and nobody else should, right? So we got to learn to be better. So Access Media are going to have access to this film, early access, whether we like it or not. They're going to have their opinions. But even though I am quite frustrated and angry about this, it is the right thing to do. Otherwise, they're going to say Zack has something to hide. And Zack has nothing to hide. He's been very open about this film, that it's a Zack Snyder film. That is what he does. So for me, I'm really excited to see what he's done with this film. But I can't say a film that I haven't seen yet is a brilliant film. That would be wrong. As much as I admire and respect Zack as a person and as a storyteller and as a director, I'm going to wait and see and make my own judgment on it. Now, so far, his universe of DC has been brilliant, and I've really enjoyed it. But I would be wrong to say here, oh, it's going to be the best thing ever. I've never, I don't know until I've seen it. And I think that's fair, isn't it? And so let's be careful how we react to Access Media when they give their initial reactions and their reviews of this. You don't really want to be getting on the wrong side of them, but if you feel they're being toxic and unfair, there's ways of politely, constructively disagreeing with them. That's better. I'm all smiley and calm down now. Now, before we get on to my next topic, which is Superman and Lois, which I loved, I want to talk about Sam Benjamin being on Lightcast. Now, I haven't actually seen the video, but I've read the comment section of Sam's Twitter, and it's kind of weird. It doesn't really seem if anyone really knows if he's going to be in the movie. Is he Green Lantern? Isn't he Green Lantern? So if you did actually watch it, comment down below and let me know what he exactly said, and we'll do a video about it and we'll discuss it. Now, on to Superman and Lois. Now, everyone is talking about this show, even Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers liking it. The fandom menace like a CW show. This is shocking. I loved it as well, but can I tell you something? Now, I don't have access to the CW here in Cyprus, so I had to watch it another way. Now, the version I watched was 51 minutes. Now, it looks like I didn't watch the whole thing, and I can't get access to the whole thing. So I missed the whole kind of Lex Luthor reveal, Superman pulling the kryptonite out. I'm really disappointed. Hopefully I can watch episode 2 as soon as I can buy the series on Prime Video. I will do that unless Netflix are going to get it. I don't know how it's going to work, but I do plan on reviewing every episode as much as I can, as much as I'm allowed to see. So if you saw my review yesterday and you thought, that's a bit weird, that's not what happened, or more happened before it finished, I'm sorry, I can only tell you about what I actually saw. So Superman and Lois showrunner and star Tyler Hoechlin explains series premiere twist. The minds behind Superman and Lois break down the series premiere's villainous twist, which revealed the true identity of the Stranger. So we got, in the version I watched, they cut it off before we got that reveal. By Rachel Labanotti. Warning, this story contains spoilers for the series premiere of Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois showrunner Todd Helbing and star Tyler Hoechlin explained the series premiere's shocking villain twist. On Tuesday night, the Arrowverse welcomed its newest series. Now, this is interesting, actually. I should wait, actually, to talk about this after I read this article. Actually, I will. Well, let's read this first. Superman and Lois with a supersized premiere that saw Hoechlin step into the spotlight for the first time. Hoechlin first played Clark Kent, aka Superman, in the second season of Supergirl before going on to appear in various crossovers within the Arrowverse. Superman and Lois marks his first solo venture, along with Elizabeth Tulloch's Lois Lane. Hoechlin is ushering in a new iteration of the iconic hero. Even before Superman and Lois premiered, it was clear this show is looking to reinvent the Superman mythology. For one thing, Clark and Lois are the parents of 2 teenage boys. This time around, additionally, it looked like Superman and Lois would be wading into new territory with the arrival of the villain, the Stranger, Walt Parks, someone who at first glance didn't look like anyone from the comics. However, as the series premiere revealed, that it isn't quite the truth. After testing Superman's strength against nuclear warheads, it was revealed the Stranger is actually Captain Luthor. The name sounds familiar, doesn't it? Helbing and Hoechlin both touched upon Superman and Lois Luthor's twist at the show's TCA panel via Cinema Blend, where they've provided some teasers of varying excitement. The inclusion of a Luthor raises numerous questions, including what this means for John Crye's Lex Luthor, who has been a part of the Arrowverse for some time now. Helbing didn't provide many specifics, but he did hint it's all a part of Superman and Lois' efforts to tell a new story and promised there's more twists to come, he said. Right. When Greg Berlanti and I first started talking about this, we wanted an iconic villain for Superman. We wanted an iconic role, but it was our opportunity coming out of Crisis to tell a new story and bring the audience this new journey with somebody that they feel like they've known. You know, obviously, John Crye's on Supergirl and he's done his crazy, amazing job with Lex Luthor, but our show is different. We wanted to tell a new story, and I think there's a lot of twists and turns, and secrets are revealed, and mysteries unfold in the way that this version is going to feel fresh and new, and completely different from anything we've seen before. Meanwhile, Hoechlin's comments were far more short, sweet, and to the point. I like having my job, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that and not give away anything before I get in trouble. Clearly, though, Superman and Lois is gearing up for some major reveals in the future. A great deal of that will likely have to do with Captain Luthor's origins, as he hinted in the Superman and Lois series premiere. He's from another world. It's important to mention that he isn't yet confirmed to be Lex Luthor, but simply has that last name. There's bound to be more to this story, and Superman and Lois will unravel it in the coming weeks. He could, in fact, be Lex Luthor's brother, or he could be his son. He could be anyone. Could even be Lex Luthor's father. He could have time travelled. Wouldn't that be interesting? Anyway, as Helbing said, they wanted to tell a brand new story with Superman and Lois, and so far they're living up to that promise. Should Parks' Captain Luthor actually be Lex, then this is a very different version of the DC villain fans are used to. If he isn't Lex, then he is a brand new Luthor, and that opens the door for a lot of possibilities. Either way, there is a lot of excitement ahead for Superman and Lois. Absolutely, and just again to, give some acclaim to them, they shot all of this during the pandemic. Mostly, the shooting was uninterrupted. I think they had a couple of times when they had to stop because of COVID infections, but they did really well. And watching the show, you can't tell. So fantastic. So I was going to kind of, during that article, interrupt myself and talk about something. I think, excuse me, I'm getting a sore throat again. It is the morning throat. But anyway, right, down to what we want to talk about. So it's obvious to me, and Ping Pong Flicks, Chris Wong Svensson touched on this in his review of the Superman and Lois pilot. I don't think this is the Superman and Lois from the Arrowverse. Everyone keeps on saying, oh, we first saw him in Arrowverse, blah, blah, blah. We saw Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch. I don't think this Superman and Lois and their children are from the same Earth from the Arrowverse. They're not part of the Arrowverse. Now, this is interesting. There were rumours, of course, as I said yesterday, that David Ramsey would cameo in it. So I don't know what's going on. And interestingly enough, initially there were rumours of Batwoman cameoing in an episode of Superman and Lois, but that's not happening. And that's a bit weird, isn't it? Could it be true that originally, when they first were going to do this, it was going to be part of Arrowverse? That maybe they had a different idea, that they decided that it will be on another Earth, or something that happened during Crisis has changed everything. I don't know, but I think this is why Batwoman isn't cameoing anymore. And don't forget, they only told us a few weeks ago that cameo wasn't happening, but I think that decision was made weeks ago, months ago. I think, as I say, initially this was going to be part of Arrowverse on the same Earth, right? But I actually think this Superman and Lois, this Clark Kent, this Tyler Hoechlin version of Superman is from another Earth. Because it's very interesting. When you watch the start of this episode, we see the Action Comics #1 costume. Where's the costume from Supergirl? We never see him wearing it. That's interesting, isn't it? There's no mention of Supergirl, Kara. There's no mention of Green Arrow or anything he's been through. No. I believe this is nothing to do with Arrowverse. You can tell by the look of it, the lighting, the grey, the darker colours, the sombre feel to it. No, I'm going to put my house on this, right, and say, I could end up being homeless here, but hey, nearly happened in the past anyway, right? So I think that this Superman and Lois are nothing to do with Arrowverse and they're on a different Earth. That's interesting to me. I hope I'm right, because this will be brilliant, but it just doesn't look like an Arrowverse show, right? Everyone's saying it. So why not be on another Earth using the same actors? It's a big twist coming up. Some of us have worked it out, but for the ones who haven't, it's going to be a big shock if I'm right. This is an article by Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce, from Screen Rant. The Arrowverse makes Lois Lane as powerful as Superman. Right, first of all, as I've said, I don't believe these versions of Superman and Lois are from the Arrowverse anyway. But anyway, Superman and Lois establishes that the Arrowverse version of Lois Lane, played by Elizabeth Tulloch, is just as powerful as Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman. Obviously, she's not physically as powerful. But I'm as big a Lois Lane fan as Superman. I have been all my life. I love Lois. And I think Lizzie is playing a great role. But physically, she's not as powerful as Superman. But definitely, as a character and as a person, and this word powerful, I don't like it. It's, nobody's totally powerful. We all have weaknesses. And I think the problem with entertainment today, when they keep on talking about powerful women, is it's okay to be a woman who's weak at times, who has frailties, who has flaws. Putting pressure on women to be powerful 24 hours a day is the most stupidest thing in the world. It's great to be strong as a woman, but it's also the strongest women can admit their flaws and their weaknesses. In fact, the strongest people can. Superman and Lois establishes Lois Lane being just as powerful as the Arrowverse version of Superman, but with a different type of strength. For a few years now, Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch have portrayed latest incarnations of Clark and Lois on TV, but as the DC lineup is always changing, so are their roles in the franchise. While there have been an endless amount of Superman shows and films, Superman and Lois takes the couple in a new direction, as it depicts them at a point in their lives that has typically gone unexplored on screen. But this is the same as Smallville, isn't it? Smallville explored a time in Superman's life we'd never really explored before. I know we had the Superboy TV series, but this went on. This took Superboy out of the suit, and Clark has to discover who he is, and he has to fight to become Superman, and real life issues got in the way. It was very Peter Parkerish, and I think they're right here. They're telling a story about a part of Superman's life that has really never been explored before. It's around the same timeline. It's around the same relationship. It's just that they've got kids, and it's very real world, and it's very interesting. While many versions have followed them as a romantic couple, Superman and Lois takes it the next phase as they deal with being parents despite having only one kid on Earth 38. Crisis on Infinite Earths changed that. As Oliver Queen rebooted the multiverse with the creation of Earth Prime, Lois and Clark are now the parents of two teenage kids, Jonathan and Jordan Kent, as they deal with raising two boys, with one having inherited Superman's abilities. The family now also deals with moving back to Smallville following the death of Martha Kent. The Superman and Lois premiere reveals that Morgan Edge has bought the Daily Planet, and it caused massive layoffs. While Lois gets to keep her job, the same can't be said about Clark, as he was let go. This is interesting, you know. I'll go back to Chris Von Svensson yesterday, because this is why I started to believe I didn't see the whole pilot, because he was saying they were both sacked. We and Screen Rant wrong, or anyway, I don't know. I digress. But what I saw, Lois doesn't get the sack. However, despite not appearing in the episode, Morgan is still causing trouble, as she's also buying coal mines in Smallville, possibly for malicious reasons. Morgan has also bought the Smallville Bank, all of which sets up a major path for Lois and established why Arrowverse's version of the beloved reporter is just as powerful as the Man of Steel. Well, first of all, let me give you a Morgan Edge theory here. I wrote many ideas for a Superman movie before, and one of them was that on Krypton there was kryptonite mines, right? Actually having people working in kryptonite mines to punish Kryptonians who, you know, broke the law and stuff like that. Could it be that Morgan Edge is buying the coal mines to create kryptonite to police Superman and other threats? Maybe. We will find out. Lois may not have Kryptonian superpowers or wear a costume, but her role as a journalist makes her a superhero just as much as Clark. Besides being the key person to ground Clark, Lois also represents the everyday human, thus why she's as legendary as she is in the mythology. Lois fights evil with her words and uses her role as a reporter to get the truth. In many ways, Lois has been a superhero longer than Clark, as she has been operating longer as a reporter before he became the Man of Steel. Even though Clark's firing was a shot, it actually benefits them both, as he can focus on his fatherly responsibilities while Lois gets a heroic arc of her own. Right, can I just say something? Lois Lane has always been a legend, always been a hero. She's always been brave, forthright. Every live-action version has been great, from Noah O'Neill to Margot Kidder. Erica Durance and Margot Kidder are my favourite Lois Lanes, and they were just as strong as their Clark Kent. And, you know, Erica's, I can cry talking about Erica's performance in Smallville as Lois. She was the ultimate Lois Lane. Not that I don't like Lizzie Tulocker's Lois, but she's a more mature Lois Lane. Don't forget, Erica was younger, and Margot's Lois was very different because they weren't married in the Reeve-Donner-verse, were they? Exposing someone like Morgan and other corrupted figures will help Lois develop her own storyline, while Clark handles his family as well as the strangers, since they are now also living in Smallville. It'll be a new layer added to Lois's journey because Morgan's actions affect both the small town and Metropolis. Even though Clark may at some point get his job back, it's still refreshing to see Lois now being the only reporter out of the two. By the way, they could have both been reporters. It doesn't stop Lois's wind, as a feminist would say. You know, Clark's always been a journalist. It's part of the disguise. He likes being a journalist, but I'm pretty cool with him not working at the Planet for now. Journey, because Morgan's actions affect both the small town and Metropolis. Even though Clark may at some point get his job back, it's still refreshing to see Lois now being the only reporter out of the two. It's not refreshing. It's good. It's okay. I ain't got a problem with it. But yeah, it's a bit dumb, isn't it? Even if someone like Morgan is a one-season threat, it's still empowering to see Arrowverse's yeah, here we go. You see, these people can't help themselves. This is why I decided to read this, because it's funny. Empowering to see Arrowverse's Lois Lane get her own big Superman and Lois arc as a journalist while standing as an equal to the Man of Tomorrow. Right, again, Andy, whose surname I can't read, and let's make sure that's the end of the article. So, yeah, no more to make fun of. Right, Lois Lane has always been Clark's and Superman's equal. Now, we know she doesn't have powers, and sometimes she will need saving. Again, Andy, you know, right on there, Andy, there for the women, right? You know, sometimes people need saving. Even strong, you know, inspiring women need saving. I know as a man, I've needed saving many, many times, and sometimes I have emotionally and physically saved other people from danger and emotional crisis. You know, I had a role with the Samaritans many years ago. And so, you know, Andy, your mentality is so wrong and so out there. I know what you're trying to say, but you don't have the guts to say it. Basically, it makes no difference whether Clark's at the planet or not. Lois Lane has always been the famous, Pulitzer Prize winner. Always. In all iterations in live action. Going back to 1978 Superman the movie. She's always been his equal, and she always will be. Clark's not famous. Clark Kent is not a famous reporter, but she always has been. So she's always been his equal. So sorry, Andy, what you're trying to say there really doesn't work. I'm going to read an article from Screen Rant again, but this time it's by Nicholas Raymond that kind of, in a way, confirms that Superman and Lois isn't actually part of Arrowverse, it's set on another Earth. But first I want to talk about comparisons to Tyler Hoechlin's Superman and Henry Cavill's Superman and this kind of tug of war that's going on. Everyone has their favourite versions of Doctor Who, of James Bond, and of Superman. And it's okay. If you don't like Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, it's fine, as long as you're constructively polite about it. If you don't like Henry's Superman, right, that's fine. But if you like all the Supermen, all the actors who played Superman, that's cool too. But what's not cool is to shit all over what somebody else loves. It's childish, and yes, that is toxic. There's space for everyone here. No one's competing. Superman and DC are part of the same company. DC and Warner Brothers and Warner Media are all part of the same company. Sorry to disappoint you. Anyway, Superman and Lois retcons the Arrowverse's kryptonite problem. The scene with the mysterious new villain in the Superman and Lois series premiere provided a big retcon for the Arrowverse's kryptonite problem by Nicholas Raymond. The Superman and Lois series premiere has retconned the Arrowverse's kryptonite problem, which was first introduced in Batwoman. It was previously established that there was no more kryptonite on Earth Prime, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore because they're on another Earth. In the first episode of Superman's new Arrowverse show, Tyler Hoechlin, Man of Steel, was faced with a new nemesis, a heavily armoured warrior who claimed to be from a world that no longer exists, targeted nuclear facilities and secretly observed the Kryptonian hero in action. Somehow this character proved himself capable of going toe-to-toe with Superman. During a heated battle in space, the stranger stabbed Clark with a piece of kryptonite, then let him plummet back into Earth's atmosphere. Luckily, he was able to remove the green shard and recover from the wound before landing. The end of the episode offered some clarity of the encounter, with the stranger's name being revealed as Captain Luthor. This is what I missed. This was not on the copy I watched, unfortunately. In the same scene where Superman and Lois revealed the villain's identity, it also provided a major retcon related to the presence of kryptonite in the Arrowverse. In Batwoman Season 2, Luke Fox, Cameron Johnson claimed that the two pieces of kryptonite used on the show were the last of it, but Superman and Lois brought it back into the equation. Captain Luthor's ship, AI told him after his attack on Superman that he had just used the last of his kryptonite supply. This prompted Luthor to say, then we'll have to get some. There being no more kryptonite on Earth would have been a serious narrative issue going forward, given that it's one of the only things in the world that can actually hurt Superman and Supergirl. With that in mind, it's not surprising that Superman and Lois has found a suitable fix for this. Obviously, maybe he can go to another planet and get it. But listen, I've said it before earlier on in this video, they're not on the same Earth. They're not on Earth Prime. This is not part of Arrowverse. And this was my prediction all along, that Season 1 would be on the CW, but Season 2 would be on HBO Max. They're going on a different direction with this. This is not an Arrowverse show. And you can kind of tell that Arrowverse is coming to a close. And something new, starting with Superman and Lois, is beginning. That's my prediction. And I know a lot of you hate me for that. Downvote my videos and unsubscribe. You can do that. And I can say whatever I fucking want. I'm here to state my opinion, right? This means that the green meteor rocks are still on the table in the Arrowverse. No, it doesn't, because Superman and Lois is not part of the Arrowverse. Though it does raise questions about what was said about kryptonite in Batwoman. Exactly. A simple explanation is that Luke Fox may have been just wrong. Maybe, but he's not. Since kryptonite was used rather recently in Supergirl, there may be secret catches of kryptonite on Earth that people like Luke know nothing about. But if Luke was right, there not being any more on Earth could be a clue to where Luthor is really from. It's possible that this character is from a future or has at least been to other worlds. His armor's ability to withstand attacks from Superman do suggest that it's made out of some sort of extraterrestrial metal. How he may know places in the universe where he can restock on kryptonite. His confidence that more can be found certainly spells trouble for Tyler Hoechlin's Superman and possibly Jordan Kent. Alex Garfin made brilliant as well, since he would presumably share his father's weakness. Regardless, as long as this Captain Luthor is around, kryptonite is sure to be a thorn in Clark's side. If Luthor ends up bringing a great deal of it to Earth and it falls into someone else's hands, it could continue to be a problem long after this storyline is over. Another theory, I'm going back to, we talked about, I forgot his name already, but the villain who we didn't see in the pilot, and I predicted that he may be developing kryptonite in all the coal mines. That's why he's bought the coal mines, right? Maybe the stranger, Captain Luthor, and the other guy are working together to mass produce kryptonite to kill Superman. That may be a point, but I still believe this is not part of the Arrowverse, and I think people will find out. It's very, very interesting, though, to see where, Superman and Lois stands in the whole order of things. And will Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, this version, be in Flashpoint? I think he will, because I think everyone from DC Live Action will be. And finally today, we're going to talk about Stargirl Season 2. Now, still haven't seen Stargirl apart from 10 minutes of the pilot. I really do need to find time to watch that series. It's DC. Everyone's saying it's awesome, and I want to make some time. But I know a lot of you people have watched it, so I want to discuss it. So this is an article by Quinn Tucker of Screen Rant. Stargirl Season 2 premieres summer 2021. The highly anticipated Stargirl Season 2 will debut in the summer of 2021 and will bring much-needed answers to the open-ended conclusion of Season 1. The highly anticipated Season 2 of Stargirl was announced to be released in the summer of 2021. Initially being created as an exclusive for the DC Universe's streaming service, Stargirl debuted on the CW in May and eventually became tied into the Arrowverse. The series centers on Courtney Whitmore, played by Brett Basinger, an average teen until she discovers a powerful cosmic staff. Stargirl sets out to revive the Justice Society of America by recruiting an unlikely group of fellow heroes with her new powers. Back in July, following positive reviews from fans and critics, Stargirl was renewed for a second season. In the first season of this super teen drama, Stargirl and the Justice Society faced down against their opposition, the Injustice Society, and mostly came out victorious. Notable members of the formidable Injustice Society included Icicle, played by Neil Jackson, and Brainwave, played by Christopher James Baker. The finale left a lot of up in the air, leaving the central antagonist role for Stargirl Season 2 wide open. After the show came to a close in August, fans have been anxiously awaiting the show's return. Due to the obstacles of shooting during the coronavirus pandemic, there was uncertainty over how Stargirl's production would be affected, since many other shows' movies have faced serious setbacks. Actually, they haven't. Recent history, past few months, at least 3 or 4 months, productions have found a way of shooting and it's been fine. DC released a shorter trailer announcing that Stargirl Season 2 will be released in the summer of 2021. There is no specific date in the teaser, however, the official release date will hopefully be revealed soon. Stargirl and her cosmic staff are shown back in action, ready to fulfill her destiny in the trailer. You can watch the teaser trailer via TV promos below. Even though there is no specific release date set, this initial announcement suggests that they will promote the show more as the summer approaches. As summer approaches, fans will begin receiving breadcrumbs about what's in the store for Stargirl Season 2. After being written into Arrowverse's Season 2 will likely include more crossovers with favourites from other CW superhero shows like The Flash. One of the biggest questions, like who the central villain will be for this season, following a statement from showrunner Jeff Johns, it appears that Eclipso will likely be the main antagonist moving forward. However, since Season 1 had multiple villains, there is still a lot of unknown about what Season 2 will look like. The vague release date may be out of caution, since the CW has struggled with show's production schedules. It hasn't really. They had to change a few things, but it's fine. The Flash was delayed by a little bit. In the past, even with the potential for delays, summer allows the Stargirl team some flexibility with deadline earlier in production in case issues arise. Hopefully, after almost a year of coronavirus-related restrictions, Stargirl will be able to film smoothly and be released early in summer rather than later. I think it will, and I don't think there's going to be any problems. Don't forget, we know we're going to get the original Flash guest starring in Stargirl as well, so that's really, really, really exciting. And it's all coming to a head. But what's really coming to a head and what's coming really, really soon is Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. It's a big event. We're all really exciting. Let's keep on promoting it positively. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.